Macy's First Ed. I specialize specifically in motherhood and childcare and the role changes that have occurred since World War II, but I still know a lot more about the broad topic of it.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Molly Lay, I'm a sociologist, and I study the effects on American culture that the wars have had on us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening for so long, it's about time.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, now I think we should Molly, what do you think we should how should we start?
Introduce the topic, be like, so, women in World War II. Not like that, but
yeah, something like that.
yeah, Eliza, you could.
Should I start with the question and then we'll go on to that?
I don't think we should ask the
Immediately
question
start.
specifically. I think the questions are more for when
Yeah.
we don't have anything to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You could be, you could start by describing some of the things you researched, for the episode.
Yeah.
You could be like,
So should I?
the things I found.
I was gonna say, should I say this is what I found when I was researching about women World War II.
Maybe not specifically. It's hard. It's kind of.
Yeah.
You kind of have to bring them up when you feel like it's natural in the conversation.
Yeah.
It's difficult to judge, but I would start by just discussing the general roles that women had. You could mention
Definitely
some of the
how
jobs.
they had we were so short-staffed on nurses during the war.
Yeah, give some just background in general of the time period too.
And then we could go
can
off of
comment
that,
on
and then I don't remember anything else from that.
Yeah.
The jobs, besides them having to stay at home with the kids.
Okay, so
And that's
how
kind of
about-
Macy's topic.
What do you guys think of this? We could start by giving a general background of the period and what
Yeah.
women did.
Yeah, of World War, what happened
Yeah.
in World War II, the general background of it.
And then, then we can talk about women a bit before the war, what they did generally, and then what happened when the war started,
Yeah.
So let's just try it and see and feel it out a little and see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's start again with the background of the war.
We were so during the war we were so short-staffed on nurses.
Yeah, you can start with that.
Yeah.
So you could be before the war, women generally didn't have a place in working,
Yeah.
They generally stayed at home. But then, something like that.
Definitely.
Okay.
Okay,
You want to try it?
ready?
So I ended up researching in the before the war that women didn't really have much of roles besides taking care of their kids and doing whatever they needed to do at home.
Oh, for sure.
But I also during the war we were so short-staffed on nurses. What do you guys have anything to say about it?
Oh, yeah. Is that why? Isn't that the main reason that a lot of women joined the workforce was because they had no nurses?
Yeah, they had no nurses. And I found out that, I'm not sure what year it was, I'm not sure, but sometime throughout the war, or maybe a little bit before the war, there was this law that obviously passed that only one person in the household could work, right?
Yeah, that was the 1932 National Recovery Act, and essentially it forbade more than one member of the household, which was, typically the man, from working, and that left a lot of women unemployed and stay-at-home mothers.
And that left them, I think, feeling like they needed, back then it was, not they didn't have to be a stay-at-home mom, but if men were fighting in the war, obviously women had to be at home with their children and not, doing anything that's super, important throughout the role. But, I think sometimes people think that being a stay-at-home mom was such a bad thing, but they couldn't really do anything about it if they weren't allowed to work.
Exactly, because there are literally laws that forbade them from working.
Yeah.
And then the war happened, right? I mean, chaos, essentially. All the men were sent off to fight, of course, but Yeah, what did they do exactly? I'm not sure the specific jobs.
They mostly like helped out. Like they were nurses. Um, some actually had to go out on the field and fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, Rosie the Riveter. Have you ever heard of her?
Yeah, my aunt has a magnet of Rosie the
Oh,
Riveter.
really?
Yeah, in class we were just learning about Rosie the Riveter, and I did like a kind of a lesson on like childcare, and people that were called Rosies were moms who had to stay at home and just take care of their children, cook and clean, and weren't able to go out and like do anything that's not just staying at home with their children and cooking and cleaning.
Oh yeah, and then this picture of Rosie came out.
Yeah.
In the midst of the war, right?
I think that is such like a big like part
So
of the
who-
war that like no one would like realize
Yeah.
until you saw it, because I see that picture of Rosie all the time up.
So
And,
who
like-
was Rosie based off of?
Wasn't she? She's a riveter, right?
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure the name of the original person. Yeah, I'd stop. I'd pause for a second.
Okay, and we'll be able to edit that. That was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
that was
wanna
actually really good.
Start the next section with your question.
Which one?
Who was Rosie?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the answer? Do you have the answer to that?
Hold
Does
on.
anyone have the
Let
answer?
me.
If you looked that up, I could just ask you. I could be like, yeah, I don't really know much about who is Rosie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me. Give me one.
And after you guys introduce who she is, I'm gonna like
Write
go on a little-
Rosie the Riveter. Just write who is Rosie the Riveter.
I'm gonna go in a little blurb about how it was meant to inspire women to join the workforce.
I think that's pretty much it.
What's it say?
So the star of. I literally cannot read any of that. It's pretty much working with the defense industries, from what I could tell.
Okay.
I'm also gonna short. It's like it's female workers for defense industries.
In the
During-
so a worker in the defense industry.
Yeah.
You can just say that. So riveters were workers in the defense industry. You can just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can all like put our piece in.
Okay, I'll start with the question.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously I like know what Rosies are. Like I researched on that topic, but I don't really know what like a riveter means. Like I know who Rosie the Riveter was, but I didn't understand what the word riveter really meant. Does anyone know?
It's female workers working for the defense industries during the war.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because in the picture, right, she doesn't really have any tools.
Yeah.
She's just kind of in a jumpsuit skin thing.
And there are some things that like the little pin she has on her.
Oh,
like
yeah.
They point out little things,
Yeah.
which I think is really cool, because if it was just like a female like a muscle up, they would just be like, oh, okay. But like some of like the little things that you can point out in it.
Exactly. It's all the little details. And what I found interesting about Rosie was how masculine she was portrayed
Yes.
without losing femininity.
Yeah, because I also remember she was super feminine
Yeah, exactly.
in like the books we were reading and stuff.
Yeah, she had the lipstick and, her hair was all done up pretty, but I think the main effect that it had, it was meant to encourage women to join the workforce because, obviously previously they hadn't been able to.
Yeah.
And it was an inspiration, and I think that's why it's such a popular image now, is because it's inspired women all across the country.
So
Get
wasn't
involved.
Rosie a mother during the war? I literally have no idea anymore. I'm not even kidding.
Was she?
I don't think she was.
I don't think she
Yeah,
was.
relating to motherhood. And this was for Macy.
Yeah, Rosie's relating to motherhood, not Rosie.
Yeah.
Not Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, I said Rosie. I said was Rosie.
Yeah, I already said that though.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember hearing that.
Rosies?
Yeah, I already said what rosies were. It was like at the beginning of the.
Oh yeah. Now I
Oh, okay.
remember.
What was the other one you wanted?
How did it
Affected
affect
social
social norms?
Okay, I just kind of said that, so we can skip over those.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
How has motherhood and child care changed then versus now?
Okay.
Okay, I can talk more about that. Molly, you can ask us the question. Be like,
Yeah.
what should you even say? You can be like,
Oh, you could, for a nice segue from Rosie to the topic of motherhood, you could be like,
since rosies were mothers,
yeah, a lot of Rosies that joined the workforce were also mothers.
how do you think that
say that.
can like how has that changed? How has that changed then versus now?
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
So since Rosies were mothers, like how did that change from then to now?
I think like the social status of mothers has changed a lot. Back then you were like expected to have children, you were expected to like stay at home, clean, take care of your children, not go out and work. But now I think it's more of a normal to like you don't have to
Yeah.
have children, you don't have to be a stay-at-home mom. Women can work just as much as men can work.
Yeah, exactly. I think also a big factor in it was that women didn't get the same pay as men until 1963. So it was really difficult to work when you had children, like you said, but you weren't getting the same pay, so you couldn't sustain your household as well.
Yeah, I also think that since sometimes only one person in a household was allowed to like go to work and stuff, men were already working, and since men could obviously make more, they were just like, okay, mother should be the one to stay home, woman should be the ones to stay home.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whereas nowadays, I think it's common to see single parent households.
I agree, either men or women being home.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a bigger thing that now there is childcare. And there wasn't like an act, the Lanham Act was like passed a little bit after war,
Yeah.
but I think it's super big that there wasn't any childcare because someone did have to stay home. Like it wasn't like no one could stay home with their children. So now that there is childcare, both men and women, both moms and dads can both work while still being able to see their kids.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the World War II was a huge part of proving that, really, to the country and changing how we all viewed it. Because it's super normal nowadays, but obviously back then it was not.
Yeah,
So-
and I still know some people who are like, oh, my mom's a stay-at-home mom. But I think it's more by choice now
Yes.
than like by pressure.
Yes.
And I think that not as many people are expecting to have children. They don't want to have children, which makes everyone be able to work more. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that part was wicked good.
Yeah.
And it says it's at 9 minutes, but by the time we cut stuff, it'll be
It'll
at
be
like
short.
7 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you got, Eliza?
Did we talk about marriage during that segue?
I don't think we did. We talked about parenthood. We didn't necessarily talk about marriage.
So it kind of goes in that category, but it kind
It
of really
does.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think we don't have to like do that part of it.
Okay. I
Um,
think we should talk a little more about the war because, it's
This was actually I was gonna say I have one about it.
okay.
Like how have women in the war affected us today?
Do you want to talk about what is there anything from the research you did that you want to mention?
No, because
No?
there wasn't really that much.
What did you have?
I could not find anything.
Okay.
Like it was not fun not finding anything.
Oh, yeah.
I was so sad like not even having anything. It was because there's so much you want to know, but there was absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I think you could just, like, from the motherhood and stuff, you could just ask us. I don't even know. Like, I don't know how you would put it. Maybe we could film like the last part, like take a break from this and film like
Film
the last part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Hi, Ubi.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm Dev Paradise.
Yeah.
Alright, let's
Okay,
see.
so let me think.
How have women... Can we do how have women in World War II affected us today really quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Go.
So has women in the war affected us today?
Well, obviously, it was a huge. It was like flipping the societal standards on its head, really, because obviously these people that were discriminated against for so long, especially African American women, they were suddenly carrying the country on on their shoulders while everyone else was gone, and so that sort of has proven that they are just as capable as
Yeah.
men.
Also, someone who is wicked big is Virginia Hall, who I don't
Oh,
think we've
yes.
talked about enough.
No, we haven't. Didn't we just learn about that?
Yeah, we were just reading a book on Virginia Hall, and she was a spy, correct?
Yeah, she was an American spy, one of the most influential.
I think she's wicked big because you wouldn't, or at least back then, they were not expecting women to be as smart.
Yeah.
And that's something now that has changed it, because now people have to be cautious or aware of both men and women working in war, because women can do just as much as men can do,
Yeah.
and maybe like on a different like level or a different status, but like they're still doing like just as much, maybe not the same job, but it's impacting.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, especially in the case of Virginia Hall, and I think that if we were to have a war today that was on the same magnitude as World War II, that Virginia Halls would be a lot more common because she did it back then.
She
And-
like shaved down her teeth. She had to like hike through like mountains with a prosthetic leg, which is horrible.
Yeah, crazy
horrible.
stuff.
And she almost got caught a few times, but like her being so smart gives so many like young women like
Inspiration.
the inspiration that they can be just as smart, they can do just as much, like whatever you want to do, you can do.
Yeah, and I think it's people like her, and it's symbols like Rosie that came out during that time period that have affected how women live today and their mindset. And I think that's really important. I mean, obviously the war was awful, but it did a lot of things culturally for us.
Yeah, it did. It was horrible. You never want to have a war, but it was for the good and for the bad.
Yeah.
Because obviously we didn't want a war to happen. No one would want that. But it created who we are today almost.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot more. Like, I wonder if there wasn't a war, if women would still be working, like staying at home.
I think it'd be a lot different than
I
what we
think-
see right now.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's a saying, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it right now, but it's like, in order for growth to happen, you have to struggle, or
I know what you're talking about. It's something like, in order to see good things, you have to go through the bad things.
yeah, exactly. There's only up from rock bottom,
Yeah.
something like that.
So I think, like, being a woman was super hard, but, like, it makes us have so much respect for them, and I think a lot of men got a lot more respect for women due to, like, Rosie and Virginia Hall,
Yeah.
because they didn't just sit home with their children and do nothing. They actually had to help a lot.
Exactly. We can record more.